You know that exact excruciating millisecond when your phone buzzes.
Oh, yeah. We all know it.
Right. You look down at the screen, and before you even fully process the words, your blood just instantly boils.
It is a totally visceral reaction.
It really is. Your stomach drops, your chest tightens, and suddenly your thumbs are, like, hovering over the keyboard.
Ready to go to war.
Exactly. You are just ready to strike back. And it raises this crazy question. Why does a specific arrangement of pixels on a glowing piece of glass trigger the exact same biological response as, being ambushed by a predator in the wild?
Because, fundamentally, it is the ultimate evolutionary mismatch.
A mismatch? How so?
Well, think about it. We are walking around with this ancient hardware.
Our brains.
Right, our brains. And they're trying to process these immediate digital speed social threats.
Which they were never designed to do.
Exactly. And because we don't have to look the person in the eye, that entire threat response is completely unmediated by normal physical social cues.
Which is exactly what we are dissecting today in this deep dive.
It's a fascinating topic.
It really is. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. Today we are looking at an incredibly insightful audio script and story. It's titled The Art of the Draft, Hitting the Pause Button.
And this source material is just packed with practical psychology.
Oh, it's so good. Our mission today is to essentially map out the complete anatomy of a digital conflict.
From the very first notification to the aftermath.
Right. We are going to look at the physiological impact, the psychological impact of those immediate reactions we all have.
And more importantly, we want to extract a really practical blueprint from this text.
Yes, a step-by-step masterclass on how to actually communicate when your emotions are running at absolute maximum capacity.
Because we have all been there.
Oh, completely. So the focus of our source material revolves around a high schooler named Maya.
And I want to pause here just to say, while the context is a high school club, the mechanisms are universal.
That is such an important point.
Yeah, the psychological machinery at play for Maya is identical to what you might experience, say, dealing with a passive-aggressive email from a colleague.
Oh, the worst. Or like a tense Slack message from your boss.
Right, or even just a sudden argument in a family group chat.
Family group chats are a minefield.
They really are. The venue changes, but the human machinery navigating the conflicts remains remarkably consistent.
Absolutely. So let's set the stage for you. Maya is the founder of her high school's Green Team Club.
She built it from the ground up.
She did, and they are prepping for this big spring fair that is happening literally the very next day.
High stakes, tight deadline.
Exactly. And Maya has spent 3 full weeks designing the club's booth.
3 weeks is a lot of time to invest in a single project.
It is a massive amount of time, and the source goes into detail about her design, which is important. She wants it to feel warm, inviting.
Right.
So she has hand-drawn this really large globe with a seedling growing out of it.
Very on theme for an environmental club.
Totally. So she's at home. She's actually studying for a history final, completely focused on something else.
Her guard is down.
Exactly. And suddenly, her phone starts buzzing relentlessly.
The dreaded rapid-fire notification.
Yes! 5 notifications in 10 minutes.
And from a physiological standpoint, that rapid succession of buzzes is a very distinct auditory and tactile trigger.
Just the sound alone.
Right. Before she even reads the messages, her nervous system is already shifting gears.
Just based on the vibration.
Exactly. The unpredictability and the urgency with the sound, it pulls her out of her deep focus.
Which is jarring on its own.
It is. It initiates this mild stress response immediately. The medium itself is prepping her to receive a threat. That makes so much sense. So she finally picks it up and opens the group chat.
And who is it?
It's her co-president, Liam.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And he casually mentions, just casually, that he ran Maya's booth designed by his dad.
And his dad, the source notes, is a professional graphic designer? Right. Which adds this whole layer of authority to what comes next. Because Liam says his dad called Maya's design amateur.
Ouch.
Yeah, amateur. And then Liam suggests they just scrap her 3 entire weeks of work.
Just toss it out the day before the fair.
Exactly. And he says they should use his dad's template instead. He describes the dad's template as polished, clean, and full of geometric patterns.
Very corporate sounding.
Very. And to make matters worse, Chloe, she's the club secretary. She chimes in immediately to agree with Liam.
So now it's 2 against 1.
Right. She says Maya's globe is, quote, cute, but the text is hard to read from a distance.
The layering of the conflict here is meticulously structured in the source.
How so? Break down the layers for us.
Well, it's not just a peer disagreeing with her, right?
It's not just Liam having an opinion.
Exactly. Liam brings in an external authority figure, his professional designer father.
Which totally shifts the power dynamic.
Completely. It bypasses any sort of collaborative peer discussion and just hands down a verdict from on high.
Like a judge striking a gavel.
Yes. And the word amateur is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Oh, that word is a dagger.
Because it is not a critique of the layout.
No.
It is a critique of her identity.
Wow. Right, because the brain, as the source explains, processes social rejection or status threats using the exact same neural circuitry that processes physical pain.
It literally hurts.
It does. When Maya reads the word amateur, her amygdala, the fear center of the brain, it doesn't distinguish between a physical attack and this sudden demolition of her status.
Especially within a group she founded. She is the founder.
Right. So the text gives us this incredibly clear biological picture of the moment. It says her stomach tightens, her fingers hover, her heart pounds.
That is classic fight or flight.
Blood is literally being diverted from her digestive system to her extremities.
Exactly. Getting her muscles ready to either run away or punch someone. But she can't do either because she's just sitting on her bed holding a phone.
The host, or rather the source material, uses this brilliant analogy. It compares this initial trigger to a spark igniting a firework in your chest.
That is an incredibly apt description.
Because it captures how fast and explosive it feels, and it highlights how asynchronous communication, like texting, it strips away all of our natural defense mechanisms.
That is a crucial point. If Liam had said this to her face, in the hallway.
Right, imagine they are standing by the lockers.
Exactly. She might have seen him wince as he said the word amateur.
Or notice he was just kind of awkwardly parroting his dad without really thinking about it.
Yes. We rely on those physical cues to modulate our reactions. But in text, the words are absolute.
They are sterile.
Sterile and permanent. They just sit there on the screen.
Just staring back at you.
And it allows Maya to just stare at that word, amateur, and let it echo in her mind.
Amplifying the perceived threat with every single second that passes.
So you can see her mental defense mechanism kick in instantly in the story.
Oh, yeah. She has this immediate, highly sarcastic internal thought.
What does she think?
She thinks to herself that putting geometric patterns on an earth-saving environmental booth is like putting a suit on a sunflower.
A suit on a sunflower? That is actually really clever.
It's a great line, but it's also a defense mechanism, right?
It is a very sharp defensive cognitive pivot.
Like she's trying to protect her ego.
Exactly. Humor and sarcasm are highly effective ways to regain a sense of intellectual superiority when you feel devalued.
Because if she can make Liam's dad's design sound stupid,
then she feels less stupid herself. By mentally reducing that corporate design to something absurd, she is attempting to patch the hole in her ego.
And here's the tragedy of the digital reaction, because her sympathetic nervous system is running the show right now.
She is in full survival mode.
Right. She doesn't channel that wit into a persuasive counter-argument in the chat.
No, she doesn't use the sunflower line to explain her vision.
Exactly. She doesn't calmly explain why a warm, organic design fits an environmental club so much better than a sterile template.
What does she do instead?
She drafts a complete scorched earth response.
She goes for the nuclear option.
Total nuclear option. She types this out. I'll read it. She says, "Seriously, the week before the fair, you decide to trash my design. You could have said something months ago. If you guys want a boring, corporate-looking booth, fine. But I'm not helping with it. I'm out."
Out. I'm out.
Yeah. She's quitting the club she founded.
This is such a textbook example of amygdala hijack. When the prefrontal cortex, the logical planning part of the brain, is compromised by a high-stress emotional response, our strategic thinking narrows dramatically.
We get tunnel vision.
Complete tunnel vision. We stop looking for solutions to the problem.
And we start looking for weapons.
Yes. And in a digital environment, sitting alone in your room, the only weapon available to you is the keyboard.
It's just you and the keys. So she is hovering her thumb over the send button.
One twitch away.
She is literally one muscle twitch away from dismantling a club she spent an entire year building.
All to alleviate the temporary agonizing pressure of feeling unappreciated in that specific moment.
That impulse to hit send the source makes this really clear. It isn't about solving the booth problem at all.
No, the booth is secondary at this point.
It's entirely about transferring the pain she is feeling back onto Liam and Chloe.
It is the illusion of resolution.
Explain that. What do you mean by illusion?
Hitting send in that hyper-aroused state feels like it will bring immediate relief.
Like, take that.
Exactly.
You...
It feels like you are taking back control of the situation.
It's fake.
It is a completely false sense of closure, because all it actually does is detonate the situation. It guarantees collateral damage.
It's blowing up the building just to kill a spider.
That is exactly what it is.
Which brings us to the most crucial moment in the story, the intervention.
Right before the explosion.
Yes. This is where the source material pivots from just diagnosing the problem to offering a really powerful framework for solving it.
So what happens?
Maya's mom walks into the room.
Just normal parent timing.
Right, probably just checking in on the studying, but she immediately notices Maya's physical tension. She sees the rigid posture, the intense focus on the screen.
Parents can always tell.
Always.
Yeah.
And she looks over and sees the drafted "I'm out" message just sitting there on the screen.
The glowing nuclear button.
Exactly. Now, the mom does something really interesting here. She doesn't invalidate Maya's anger. She doesn't say, oh, it's just a club, calm down.
Which is the worst thing you can say to an angry person.
The absolute worst. Calm down never works. Instead, she asks a question that I think fundamentally changes how we should view our own digital communication.
What's the question?
She says, is the truth you're sending right now the whole truth? Or just the angry truth?
The whole truth or the angry truth? That is incredibly profound.
It stopped me in my tracks when I read it.
Because distinguishing between those two things requires a massive level of self-awareness.
And it's so hard to do in the moment.
It is nearly impossible without practice. When we are angry, the physiological intensity of the emotion tricks us.
It tricks us how?
It tricks us into believing our perspective is the objective absolute truth. We equate the sheer volume of our feelings with the validity of our arguments.
Like, I feel this strongly, therefore I am 100% right.
Exactly.
The source makes a fascinating point regarding this. It states that Maya's drafted message, the "I'm out" text, is functionally a lie.
A lie. That's a strong word.
It is, but think about it. She doesn't actually want to quit the green team.
Right. She founded it. She loves it.
She loves the club. What she actually wants is for her effort to be recognized.
She wants respect.
Yes, she wants to be heard. So the angry truth, that drafted text, is actually a massively distorted fraction of reality.
It completely misrepresents her actual long-term desires.
It really does.
It is a reactive fiction.
A reactive fiction. I like that phrase.
The angry truth is just a story we tell in the moment to protect ourselves from vulnerability.
Because saying "you hurt my feelings" feels weak.
Exactly. Saying "I'm out" feels strong. But if she sends that text, she is forcing herself to live in a reality created by a temporary neurological spike.
A spike that will fade in an hour.
Right. Her mother is essentially pointing out that while the anger is entirely valid, the behavioral impulse it's suggesting quitting is a complete misrepresentation of her actual goals.
There is also a really crucial lesson here about the physical nature of text-based damage.
The permanence of it.
Yes. Her mom reminds her of this brutal fact.
Yeah.
You can say sorry later, but you cannot unsend the words once they are out there.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Exactly. The feeling of anger that Maya has right now will inevitably metabolize.
The body has to return to baseline eventually.
Right, the feeling will fade. But the message leaves a permanent, searchable mark.
If Maya were to snap at Liam in the hallway like we talked about earlier, they might have a brief argument.
People get heated in person all the time.
Sure, but in person, the tone of voice, the eye contact, and the eventual softening of their physical posture, all of that helps repair the rupture in real time.
You can see the regret on someone's face.
Exactly.
Hmm.
But in text, there is no softening.
The digital medium essentially removes the decay rate of an insult.
That is perfectly stated.
When you send an angry text, it doesn't just happen once. It sits in the recipient's pocket forever.
Liam could pull that text out and reread it 3 hours later.
And every time he reads it, it re-triggers his own stress response.
It becomes a physical artifact of the conflict.
It just constantly regenerates the initial hurt over and over again.
So how does the mom break this cycle?
She gives Maya a very specific physical directive.
Not just emotional advice.
No, actual physical instructions. She tells Maya to leave the message in drafts. Do not delete it yet, just leave it.
Okay.
Then she tells her to physically step away from the phone, leave it on the bed.
Separation.
Yes. Go to the kitchen, drink a glass of water, and wait exactly 5 minutes for the noise in her head to quiet down.
This is brilliant. This is where we shift from psychological advice to physiological intervention.
How does the physiology work here?
Stepping away from the blue light and the physical device itself actually breaks the visual feedback loop of the threat.
Because looking at the screen is looking at the tiger.
Exactly. And the act of swallowing water, that actively engages the parasympathetic nervous system.
The rest and digest system?
Right. Swallowing signals to the brain that the immediate life-threatening danger has passed. You wouldn't stop to drink water if you were being chased by a bear.
Wow. So drinking water is literally telling your brain, we are safe.
It forcibly initiates the calm down sequence.
So waiting those 5 minutes isn't just some arbitrary timeout like putting a kid in the corner.
Not at all.
It's about allowing the cortisol and the adrenaline to literally physically clear out of her bloodstream.
It takes time for those chemicals to wash out.
So her prefrontal cortex can finally regain administrative privileges over her behavior.
Regain control of the keyboard, essentially.
Exactly. Now, I do want to push back on this just a little bit on behalf of you listening.
Okay, let's hear the pushback.
Because when you read this interaction between Maya and her mom, it is very easy to interpret the mom's advice as a mandate to just suppress her emotions.
Ah, the classic just keep the peace mentality.
Right. It sounds uncomfortably close to, swallow your pride, don't make a fuss, let the boys walk all over your hard work.
Which would be terrible advice.
It would be. And Maya even has this exact thought in the source material. She wonders to herself if she is just supposed to wait quietly for them to change the design without her.
That is the defining tension of emotional regulation.
How so?
People so frequently confuse emotional regulation with emotional suppression.
What's the difference?
Suppression is taking the anger, pretending it doesn't exist, and internalizing the disrespect.
Just stuffing it down.
Right. And what does that lead to? It leads to deep resentment, passive-aggressive behavior, and eventual burnout.
You just end up hating the club.
Exactly. But the source is very careful to clarify the mom's actual intent here.
Yeah, the mom's advice is much smarter than that.
The mom specifically tells Maya not to wait for them to take over the project.
She doesn't want her to surrender.
No. She tells her to wait to see if that drafted message truly represents who she wants to be in this conflict.
It's about clarity, not surrender.
Yes. It is about emotional regulation, managing the intensity so you can fight the right battle in the right way.
The text actually provides a metaphor here that clarifies this distinction perfectly.
I love a good metaphor.
It describes the anger transforming over those 5 minutes from a dangerous, explosive fire into a hot coal.
A fire versus a hot coal. That is a powerful image.
Right, because a fire is chaotic.
It is wild.
It consumes whatever is in its path completely blindly.
Including the things you actually care about.
Exactly, like Maya's friendships with Liam and Chloe or the future of the Green Team itself. The fire would burn all of that to the ground.
But a hot coal is different.
A hot coal still contains immense thermal energy. It is still hot.
The anger is still there.
The anger is very much still there, but its energy is contained. It is directable.
You can cook with a hot coal. You can forge steel with it.
Yes. By taking those 5 minutes, she isn't extinguishing the anger at all.
She is keeping the energy of her conviction.
Because she still knows her design is good, and she still demands to be respected by her peers.
But she is removing the volatile, destructive element of the open flame.
She is converting the energy from a weapon into a tool.
Which perfectly sets up the tactical application of that tool in the next section.
The pivot.
Yes, the pivot. So Maya takes the 5 minutes. She drinks the water.
Her shoulders drop.
The biological alarm bells finally stop ringing in her ears.
And she goes back to the phone. She looks at the I'm out draft.
The angry truth.
The angry truth.
Well,
and she deletes it completely.
Good.
And this is where she begins the process of the rewrite. This process is where our deep dive really hits its stride, I think.
Because it moves from theoretical psychology into a highly practical, actionable framework.
Exactly. It's a literal blueprint for what to do. So Maya drafts a second message.
Let's hear the rewrite.
Okay, her second draft reads, "Hey, I'm feeling really frustrated right now. I put a lot of work into the globe design, and hearing that it's amateur hurts, but I get that you're trying to help, Liam, and I hear your point, Chloe, about the text being hard to read. Can we pause here? I need a night to think. Let's all come to the library tomorrow morning. We'll figure it out together."
Wow. Night and day.
It's a completely different language.
If we deconstruct the architecture of that new message, we can actually extract the specific rules of the rewrite that the source outlines for us.
Let's break those rules down. What is rule number 1?
The first rule is implicit in what she just did. Write out the angry truth to get the poison out of your system.
Like the first draft.
Yes, write it out, but never, ever attach a recipient to it.
Don't put the phone number in the to field.
Exactly. Keep the angry truth quarantined. Let it exist. Acknowledge the feeling, but do not let it enter the actual ecosystem of your relationships.
It's like venting into a void.
Right. Now, the second rule is about engaging cognitive empathy.
Cognitive empathy, what does that look like in practice?
Maya is instructed to read the message from the recipient's perspective before she sends it.
So putting herself in Liam's shoes.
Exactly. When she imagines Liam reading her original attack, the "I'm out, you trashed my" design text, or Chloe feeling blamed, she forces her brain to step out of its self-centered survival mode.
Because survival mode only cares about me.
Right. And here is the neurological beauty of this. Empathy is fundamentally incompatible with the fight-or-flight response.
Wait, really? They can't happen at the same time?
No. You cannot be actively preparing to destroy someone while simultaneously trying to understand their complex internal experience.
It's like trying to run forward and backward at the same time.
Exactly. Forcing empathy acts as a neurological brake system on the anger.
That makes total sense. And that leads to the core diagnostic question of this entire source text.
The golden rule.
Yes. Before you hit send on any difficult communication, any tense email or text, you have to stop and ask yourself, am I trying to hurt them or am I trying to be heard?
It is a brutally honest filter.
It really forces you to look in the mirror.
Because if you interrogate your own motives and you realize your primary objective is just retaliation,
If you just want them to sting.
then the message goes straight in the trash. It's not ready.
But if your objective is actually comprehension and setting a boundary,
Then you proceed to the structural changes that Maya employs in her second draft.
and the most obvious structural change she makes, which is something we hear about a lot but rarely see executed this well, is her complete abandonment of you statements.
Yes. Replacing them with I statements.
Right. The first draft was entirely accusatory. It was, you decide to trash my design. You could have said something.
A finger pointing.
All fingers pointing outward. But the second draft shifts the locus of control entirely inward.
I'm feeling really frustrated.
I put a lot of work into this.
Hearing that it's amateur hurts
It's all about her own experience. Why is that so effective?
because you statements are essentially linguistic threat displays.
Linguistic threat displays. That sounds intense.
It is intense. When someone reads a sentence starting with "you did this" or "you always," their own amygdala immediately flares up.
They get defensive instantly.
Instantly. They actually stop reading for comprehension at that point.
They aren't even hearing your point anymore.
No, they start reading purely for ammunition to fire back at you. They feel backed into a corner.
But by using I statements, Maya completely removes that attack vector.
She puts down her sword.
Right. Because Liam and Chloe cannot argue with Maya's internal state.
They can't say, "No, you don't feel frustrated."
Exactly. She presents her emotional reality as an undisputed fact.
Which forces them to sit with the consequence of their actions, rather than just defend against an accusation.
The source notes that this approach is honest about her feelings. She doesn't hide that she's hurt without actually attacking anyone.
And she goes even a step further in that rewrite.
Pishas.
She actively validates their intent, even though she deeply disagrees with their execution.
When she says, I get that you're trying to help Liam.
Right. And conceding Chloe's point about the text readability, that is a massive de-escalation tactic.
It's extending an olive branch.
It signals that she is not an enemy combatant in this situation. She is a partner facing the exact same logistical problem they are.
The problem of the booth.
Yes. She shifts the dynamic from a zero-sum game of who is right and who is wrong to a collaborative puzzle that they have to solve together.
We'll figure it out together. She invites them in instead of slamming the door and shutting them out.
It's masterful.
But there is a line in the source material regarding this rewrite that points to something much, much deeper than just simple communication tactics.
The narrative identity piece.
Yes. The text says, angry words don't just hurt the other person. They change the story you're writing about yourself.
This touches on narrative identity theory, which is fascinating.
Can you unpack that for us? What does that mean in the context of Maya?
Well, narrative identity theory suggests that we don't just have a static personality. We are constantly constructing the story of who we are through our daily actions and choices.
We are the authors of our own character.
Exactly. Maya views herself, fundamentally, as a dedicated founder, a passionate advocate for the environment, a good leader.
That's her self-image.
But if she sends that first "I'm out" text, she is actively adopting the behavioral patterns of someone who is petty, highly reactive, and quick to abandon her commitments the second her ego is bruised.
She effectively lets the anger hijack the pen.
Yes,
And it writes a chapter where she is basically the villain of her own story.
a chapter she can't easily erase. Every text we send in moments of high stress is essentially a vote for the type of person we are becoming.
A vote for who we are. I love that. By hitting pause, she reclaims authorship.
She takes the pen back.
She consciously chooses to write a narrative where she is mature, capable of holding firm boundaries without resorting to cruelty, and ultimately committed to her team.
It is a profound act of self-definition.
So she sends the collaborative message. She hits send on the good draft.
The scary part.
Yeah. And she survives the night without blowing up the club.
Success.
But, as the source points out, the digital de-escalation is really only the preamble.
The setup.
Right. Because sending a mature text from the safety of your bedroom is relatively easy compared to the physical aftermath.
The real world.
Exactly. The true test of this
I'll add
entire
some green to
process
the
happens
sun.
the next morning.
Perfect. It
When they
fits the
actually have to look
template.
each other in the eye.
Yes. In the school library.
Teamwork makes the
the
dream
morning of
work.
the fair.
Now, it's important to recognize how the digital communication set the architectural parameters for this physical meeting.
How so? Because they haven't spoken yet.
Right, but because Maya didn't send a hostile text the night before, Liam and Chloe did not spend their entire evening constructing defensive walls.
Oh, that makes so much sense. If she had sent the, I'm out, your idea is trash.
They would have spent hours gathering ammunition.
They would have shown up to the library armed with 100 reasons why Maya's design was terrible, purely to justify their own defensive posture.
Exactly. Defensiveness breeds defensiveness. It's contagious.
But vulnerability invites accountability.
Precisely. Because Maya led with how she was hurt rather than how they were wrong, she created a psychological safe space for them.
A space for them to realize they messed up.
Yes, to reflect on their own missteps without feeling under attack.
Which is exactly what we see happen in the resolution phase.
The library meeting.
Yeah. Maya walks into the library. She's nervous, obviously.
It's tense.
Very tense. Liam has his dad's corporate template open on his laptop. Chloe has printouts of Maya's globes scattered on the table.
The visual representation of the conflict.
The tension is palpable, but Liam immediately speaks up.
And what does he do?
He apologizes.
First thing.
First thing. He actually contextualizes his dad's comment. He explains that his dad is an intense perfectionist and that Liam didn't mean to imply Maya's actual work was bad.
He takes ownership.
He does. And then Chloe follows suit. She admits it was really unfair of her to just blindly agree with Liam without consulting Maya first.
Notice how the structural integrity of their egos is no longer the primary issue in the room.
The apologies deflated all the ego.
Exactly. It removes the need for all that posturing.
They can finally breathe.
And they can finally decouple their personal self-worth from the graphic design problem sitting on the table.
Which is just a poster for a fair.
Right. It stops being about who they are and goes back to being about the project.
Maya even admits to them that she was simply terrified her work wasn't good enough.
That is massive vulnerability.
That level of transparency completely changes the gravity of the room. Now, they aren't fighting each other.
They are fighting the problem.
Exactly. They're looking at the two designs objectively as a team. They have Maya's warm, organic, slightly messy globe design on one side.
And the dad's sterile, geometric, highly readable template on the other.
Right. Two totally opposite approaches.
And this is where we see the concept of cognitive diversity yield actual tangible results.
Cognitive diversity, bringing different minds together.
Yes. When people with totally different perspectives collaborate instead of competing, you get better outcomes.
And that's exactly what Liam proposes. He suggests synthesizing the two ideas,
A compromise.
but a smart one. He suggests using his dad's template just for the background.
Leveraging the clean lines.
Right. Using those geometric patterns to provide structure and a professional feel, but placing Maya's hand-drawn globe right in the center,
Making it the focal point.
making it the emotional heart of the entire booth.
That's brilliant.
And then Chloe adds the final piece of the puzzle. She suggests they use Maya's original text, the words she chose, but they scale the font way up and make it bolder.
To solve the readability issue from a distance.
Exactly. It solves everyone's concerns.
This synthesis is the ultimate reward of the pause.
It really is.
Think about the alternative. If the anger had dictated the outcome the night before,
if the fire had
One design would have won, one design would have completely lost.
and the team would have permanently fractured, Maya wouldn't even be there.
Exactly. But by staying in the discomfort of the collaboration, they arrived at a third option.
An option that didn't exist yesterday.
And an option that was objectively superior to both of their original isolated ideas.
I cannot ignore the irony here, by the way, because the source plants this detail so perfectly early on.
Which detail?
Remember Maya's highly defensive, sarcastic thought from the very beginning?
The suit on a sunflower.
Yes. When she thought putting geometric patterns on an environmental booth was like putting a suit on a sunflower?
The thing she was mocking.
It becomes the exact blueprint for their success.
It literally does.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Right. The geometric suit provided the necessary structure and the readability.
The professionalism.
And the sunflower, her warm globe, provided the necessary warmth and approachability for the club.
The structure elevated the art.
And the art gave the structure a soul. The very thing she mocked in her hyper-defensive state turned out to be the exact missing ingredient her project desperately needed.
Which proves a really difficult truth about feedback.
What's that?
Even criticism that is delivered poorly, like the dad calling her work amateur, which is a terrible way to give feedback.
So mean.
It often still contains a kernel of valuable data.
The readability issue was real.
It was real data, but you can only extract that data if you could regulate your emotions long enough to look past the insult.
You have to cool the fire into a coal to see the data.
Exactly. Because they did that, it stopped being Maya's design versus Liam's design. It became their design.
Their design. And the source gives us this incredibly satisfying full-circle resolution to the whole ordeal.
The day of the fair.
Yes, the spring fair the next day is a massive hit.
Of course it is.
The green team's booth is actually the most popular one there.
Because of the design.
Yeah, people are drawn in by this giant, beautiful globe in the center, but they can also read the club's mission text clearly from all the way across the gym.
The perfect synergy.
And Maya, Liam, and Chloe are totally united, standing there handing out little seedlings to everyone.
And you have to realize that entire physical reality, the success of the booth, the unity of the team, the pride they feel, all of it, was entirely contingent on a 5-minute pause.
1 5-minute pause.
Taken in a quiet bedroom the night before.
It's wild to think about how thin the line is between success and total disaster.
It's literally just a few minutes of waiting.
So later that afternoon, after the fair is over, Maya has this quiet moment. She looks back at her phone.
Back to the scene of the crime.
Right. And she pulls up that original drafted message, the one that was just full of vitriol, the one that said, "I'm out."
The angry truth.
The angry truth. And she deletes it permanently.
She lets it go.
She realizes that the anger she felt the night before was real. The hurt she felt was real.
The emotions were valid.
Very valid. But the words she almost used, the action she almost took, that was a complete lie about who she actually was.
Emotions are just data points.
Data points, I like that.
They are. They are real, and they are providing you with information about your environment. Maya's anger was accurate data.
It was indicating that she valued her own effort and required respect from her peers.
Exactly. But the behavioral impulse generated by that emotion in the moment, the urge to quit, the urge to burn the bridge, that was a massive distortion of the data.
It was a bad conclusion based on good data.
Perfect way to put it.
So how do we pull this out of the high school gymnasium and apply it to our own lives?
Because we all need this.
We really do. Because the story of the Green Team's booth is essentially a universal user manual for surviving the digital age without self-destructing.
The trigger is universal.
The phone buzz. The Slack ping.
The brain naturally wants to use words as weapons to protect the fragile ego.
So, to counteract millions of years of evolutionary wiring, you have to master this, what the source calls the art of the draft.
It requires actively building a deliberate physical gap between the stimulus and your response.
So let's review the blueprint. If we're distilling this down to a highly practical sequence for you listening right now, it looks like this. Step 1.
Step 1, write out the anger.
Get it out.
Yes. Do not pretend you aren't furious. That's suppression. Open a blank document or a completely unaddressed note app and type out the most petty, defensive, scorched earth response you can possibly muster.
Let the fire burn on the page.
Exactly. Get the visceral reaction out of your physical body and onto a screen.
But, and this is the most important caveat in the world, ensure there is absolutely zero possibility of accidentally hitting send.
Do not put a name in the contact field.
The quarantine of this initial reaction is paramount.
So that brings us to step 2. The physical intervention.
Right. Step away from the glowing rectangle. Put the phone down. Close the laptop.
Physically move your body.
Go to the kitchen. Drink a glass of water. Walk around your house.
Give your parasympathetic nervous system those crucial 5 minutes to cool the fire into a hot coal.
Wait for your prefrontal cortex to literally reboot,
Once the system is rebooted, you move to step 3.
which requires cognitive empathy.
Right. Read what you wrote in that angry draft, but force yourself to read it as the person receiving it.
Watch their face fall in your mind's eye as they read your attack.
And ask yourself the golden question.
Am I trying to hurt them, or am I trying to be heard?
If it's just to hurt them, you delete it.
Which leads to the final step, executing the rewrite.
This is where you actually draft the message you are going to send.
You systematically remove every single you statement.
Eliminate the threat displays.
You replace them entirely with I statements that focus only on your internal experience and your personal boundaries.
I feel frustrated when.
Exactly. And if possible, you actively acknowledge their perspective, however flawed it might be, just to disarm their defensiveness right out of the gate.
Now, it sounds simple when we lay it out as a neat little checklist like this.
Oh, it sounds so easy on paper.
But in the heat of the moment, executing this sequence requires immense psychological discipline.
It's like a mental workout.
Because in that split second, the angry truth feels incredibly righteous.
It feels good.
It feels powerful to lash out
Yeah.
and put someone in their place.
But it only feels powerful for about 30 seconds.
And then what happens?
Then the adrenaline fades, the spike drops, and you are left dealing with the massive wreckage of a relationship or a professional reputation.
Wreckage that could have been avoided with a glass of water.
Exactly. So we want to leave you with a direct challenge today, heavily inspired by Maya's story in the text.
A little homework for the listener.
Just something to think about. Think about your own digital footprint right now, in this very moment. Think about your open Slack channels, your text message threads, your email drafts folder.
Look closely at them.
Is there an angry truth sitting in your drafts right now? Or maybe it's just sitting on the tip of your tongue, waiting for the very next group chat notification to drop.
A message that you have perfectly engineered to strike back, just because you felt your status was threatened or your hard work was unappreciated.
You have to ask yourself if that message, that specific arrangement of words, is the story you actually want to write about yourself.
Is that who you are?
We all want the clean, sterile precision of a broken bone on an X-ray when dealing with problems, but human communication isn't like that. It is messy, it is massively ego-driven, and it is highly combustible.
Especially online.
But you have the power to step away. You have the power to delete the draft.
You hold the pen.
You have the power to rewrite the narrative to reflect the person you actually want to be. Choose the whole truth. Take the pause. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.